Hey guys, welcome to our podcast where it has to be said. My name is Elvis.
And I'm Denise.
So, babe, what we're going to talk about today?
So today we're just talking about the beginning of us and the podcast and the decisions we make in life. So I guess I'll start. Elvis and I have now been married for 14 years. We met a few years before that. We were really good friends. I was in middle school, I think, when I met him for the first time. I met him through one of his sisters at church. And I
hmm
remember being outside, and my friend Moses was like, "Oh, you're gonna like him."
Shout out to Moses.
And it did come to be that it happened. It wasn't at first. We just generally were really good friends.
Yeah, we were cool.
I couldn't see you more of as a friend. I was like a little annoyed with you sometimes. It was like a love hate relationship because you were very conceited back then.
Really? I didn't even notice.
Huh. He's being sarcastic. Yeah, he was very conceited, but nothing. We became really good friends. He lived in Puerto Rico. I lived here in the Bronx. And, a few years later, I'm 16 and he was 18, making the decision to move from Puerto Rico to here. And he asked me to be his girlfriend, whether or not that was the smartest decision we made so early on, but we made it.
We're still here.
I guess that counts, right?
Yeah, we're still here. And we opened the podcast. So,
Yeah. Can you tell me a little bit about, do you remember any of that of us getting together?
yeah, I remember I used to come all the time over here, like every summer.
Yeah.
I think I came a few winters as well to New
Mhm.
York, and we would look kind of for like any excuse to like hang out, have a good
Yeah.
time. One thing we did have in common was also the church, so we would
Mhm.
spend a lot of time in church as well.
Yeah.
We both agreed that we wasn't gonna be together just because of the distance. And then when I decided to come over here, not necessarily I came over here to be with you, but I did come over here after I graduated high school to live the American dream and try to probably run away from certain things that was happening with me in Puerto Rico as well. And I saw kind of New York like an escape route
Yeah.
and took advantage. Hey, listen, I have a friend and I like her. She likes me. So let's
I
try
mean,
it out.
he didn't come to live with me. Let's fine print. He lived with your sister and your aunt at
Correct.
first,
Yeah, correct.
and then your mom. But and we
After we got married, that's when we moved in together.
yeah, which was what, a year after,
Yeah, I think no, was it a year or a year and a
a
half?
little over a year.
Yeah,
Craziness, right?
time flies. 14 years and counting, and it's like
Yeah. So we started dating in 2007, and then a year later, we had a rocky bump in our road. My part, there was some infidelity in my part, and it was just like a tough place for us. And then all of a sudden, I was making plans because I was about to be a senior of applying to colleges away, just to get out of the home and just get away from everything too. And then I find out I was pregnant.
everything changed after that. But we were both in the same mentality as far as listen, I'm going through a chaos. I want to escape one way or another. My escape was New York. Your escape was college.
Trying to get into a college that was out of state.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that was your kind of your
I did
to
get
escape.
accepted to like two of them
Yeah, you're
with
smart.
scholarships, but God was like, no, stay still. Here, take this little load. And
Oh, God, or the choices we made.
the choices we made. You're right. You're right.
Let's be honest. I'm not
Yeah.
blaming God for our actions either.
I know, but I feel like, he doesn't allow things that we wouldn't be able to handle. Like, I wasn't the first Christian that was sexually active. You know what I'm saying? But he knew what I needed. I think that, I guess in my opinion, for me, girls are like, they help me at me. Well, she helped me as a mom mature.
Yeah.
Like I've seen like posts say that like when you have a boy the first time, you needed to learn
hmm
about true love, and then with the girls, like you needed growth. And I think Ali really, you know,
Helped you grow.
stretched me. Yeah, she did. But I think also when I found out we were pregnant, like abortion was an option for us.
I don't think we even had a conversation like we were. That
Mm-mm.
wasn't an option at all for us. We were like, listen, we were playing the adult game, so we have to be responsible adults as well, and kind
Yeah.
of, let's just figure it out from here on. Everything was like a roller coaster. Everything was so fast. Like I came from Puerto Rico. I was trying to incorporate myself to learn the language as well.
Mm-hmm.
You ended up pregnant. I had to find a job. I had to find an apartment. You were dealing with going to college. I mean, it was so many moving parts at the same time that there was no time to think at all. I mean,
Yeah.
that's how I remember it.
We thought, because then we had to discuss of the idea of getting married. It wasn't a slow decision because I
Hmm.
found out I was pregnant. I think it was like in October, and then November we went and got married through the civil court.
I think the best part of all of that is we made the choice of being
Yeah.
married. It was never, hey, listen, you guys got to be married. It was something like, listen, we want to get married and we're going to figure out life together. We may not have all the answers right away or right now, but we're going to figure it out. I think that was one of the things because I think if somebody would have told us that we had to get married, we probably would have reacted differently to everything that we went through
There would have been some
because we
resistance.
would have been like, hey, listen, I'm here because they obligated me, but
Yeah.
it was our choice.
Yeah, I agree. And like even my grandmother, when we told her, and we spoke after, she's like, you don't have to get married because we had already told her like this is our plans, what we want to
Hmm.
do. And she was like, you don't have to do it because she saw my mom have to do it because of it was it's viewed as a sin. It's still considered a sin, fornication, and I don't know where it kind of passed down like to rectify that it was by getting married.
Hmm.
And for my mom that what didn't prove to be the ideal situation either. um but she had to do it, and I think my grandma was kind of like emphasizing like you don't have to do it. I know that this happened before in our family, but I'm letting you know it's okay if you don't want to. But we wanted to,
Yeah.
and we went forward with it, and here we are. It hasn't been easy.
Yeah. What you think it would be any difference if we would have got married at a different age or a point in life of, let's just say 21, 25, or even 30?
um with our same circumstance, like with like being pregnant
Hmm.
but postponing the marriage,
The age.
the age, I think, well, we'll talk more in detail in other episodes about it, but I think given everything that happened the first 5 years of marriage,
Hmm.
like if those things would have happened outside of marriage, maybe I would have been more inclined to be like, I don't need this, we're done.
Hmm.
But who's to say those things would have happened anyway? You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, that makes sense.
So I don't know. Who's to say if it would have been easier or harder? Outside of our circumstances, do I think anyone at age 17 should be getting married? Heck
But
no.
that's why I'm asking you because most of the conversations, and you correct me if I'm wrong, most of the conversation nowadays is like, hey, listen, hurry up and get married, get it out the way, have it young, have kids young, and
Yeah.
right
I
away.
mean, I think it's a little bit of both because I've seen people like in their early 20s wanting to get married and aspire marriage and children, right?
Hmm.
Which to each their own. Everyone can have, you can have, if that's what you want to do, that's what you want to do.
Correct.
But I don't remember being a teenager and like, oh my God, I can't wait to be married and have kids. I became, oh, I'm married and have kids.
I didn't even think about kids.
But it happened because of our circumstance. But I don't know if I would have been aspiring that. I think that now because we already have our kids and we've already been married for so long, is that we now say, man, if you're young, enjoy being single, or
Enjoy
if
you.
you're young and married, enjoy your partner. Don't add kids, right? Because we already have the experience of what it feels like to incorporate marriage, kids all at once,
Yep.
and adulthood all
Yep.
at the same time.
Yep.
Versus if you gradually take the steps, I don't see why not. But I think an important component of coming together with a person is being whole in yourself, and we were not whole
At all.
in our own individual self.
I mean, we were so young. Think
Yeah.
about the age. I mean, we had also scars from my previous of everything that we were going through in life
In our
personally,
childhood.
and our childhood, our families. It was so many things going on, and it was like, okay, let's just play how to be adults, how to be a father, how to be a mother, how to be married, right?
Mm-hmm.
And instead of just waiting for a second, kind of like let me analyze my life
Yeah.
and kind of figure things out before I make the choices I make. Because it doesn't matter what choices you make, it's going to have consequences one way or another. They're
Yeah.
either going to be good or they're going to be bad, but you
Mm-hmm.
are going to have consequences in life.
It's true. So no matter what decision you make, um, you just have to. It's almost kind of like I think we took. We're gonna own this.
Correct.
Especially for us. I think I don't know about you, but it was very hard for me to be pregnant at that age. Because it's one thing to go through something or a mistake or an experience, and I don't think my pregnancy was a mistake. I think it happened with purpose. But going through something publicly, it's overwhelming because it's one thing to go through something and no one knows what you're going through, but everybody saw that I was pregnant.
Yep.
I was going to high school pregnant,
High
uh,
school and church, I think that's where it really hits
high
you hard.
school and church pregnant. I was going to high senior year, like the year you're supposed to do all these fun activities.
I'm just letting you know, I was the bad guy. That's that's how I would see it. I would see it
Yeah,
like people would see me like, oh, this guy came from Puerto Rico. First thing he does is get her pregnant. And I felt like
yeah,
everybody would look at me because we were going to the same church. So like people would look at me, and that was probably me, just my guilty conscience speaking to myself of, listen, you put yourself in this situation. You're trying to escape from Puerto Rico of what's going on
yeah,
over there. Not only that, but my head was spinning because I was like, in Puerto Rico, I'm being judged too. I'm not over there, but they were like, probably, míralo. He already
yeah,
got somebody pregnant. It was like,
yeah,
I just wanted to make it work one way or another.
yeah. And even in the school, didn't you go with me to a school meeting? Because I think
Yes.
the principal wanted to
Yes.
speak with us, right?
Yep.
So everyone, it was like almost everyone was invested. There were people that had good intentions and were like, like it's not going to be easy and stuff like that. Like it was more like commentary. And then there were other people that kind of like were like, oh, you threw your life away. I remember at my friend's
It's
Karina.
almost like you died, right?
Yeah, like I remember at Karina's Sweet 16, someone said a comment and I overheard them like, oh, like it was like dismissive, like, yeah, she's the one that got pregnant, like if she threw her life away. And I think I also took that mentality as like I need to prove these people wrong,
Yeah.
right?
That's the way I took it too.
Mm-hmm.
With Puerto Rico, I'm like, man, I came over here and this is not gonna stop me from progressing and moving forward. And a lot of times people judge so much
Yep.
because if you would have been a different person and you probably was going through depression and they would have told you that, who knows if you would have even tried to take your own life,
Yep.
right? Because I mean that's discouraging to know the fact that you're living probably an embarrassment moment, right, of being pregnant so young, not planned at all, and to be judged from the outside. Oh yeah, that's it. There's no future for her.
Mm-hmm. And you already have your own thoughts about yourself.
Correct.
Like I already felt a certain way about myself. I already had some guilt because I felt like I should have known better.
Hmm.
All these things, the plus the guilt of being a believer and saying like, God, I failed you too. Like there were so many things going on.
And we were involved in church. It's crazy because when I came from Puerto Rico,
Yeah.
right, I remember me giving to the pastor a letter recommendation, a letter of recommendation from my pastor, because I was very active in church in Puerto Rico as well.
Yeah.
And to go with this letter of recommendation and to just sink with all these issues, I mean,
But I mean, the Bible says we all fall short of the glory of God. I mean,
man,
it's not justifying, but it's saying we make mistakes, and I think that's one part that I kind of want to showcase when we're having these conversations is that just because we're believers, it doesn't mean we're not going to make mistakes.
correct.
We're still in the same flesh. We're still having the same struggles.
Yes.
And, my job isn't to judge someone else because I have the label of Christian and feel holier and more highly. My job is to say, yo, I've made mistakes. I've been at rock bottom, but that grace that I believe in
Mm-hmm.
has that lifted me up can do that for you too. And I think that's the important part. And I think that's the beautiful lesson of our story because despite
Mm-hmm.
being 17 and 19, having a baby so early, we've been able to like grow and glow up together.
Because of the choices we made too. Like we're still gonna make mistakes
Yeah.
at this point in life, but every time we would make a mistake, we would learn from it.
Yeah.
Like, what could I take out of this positive to grow, and what could I do differently in the future if this situation does present itself again?
Yeah.
And I think that was the game changer for us.
It was. And I think that, this has been it's been one crazy journey because it hasn't been easy
Yeah,
to do it. We had to learn so much about being parents. We had to learn so much about
ourselves,
ourselves
love ourselves.
and how to love each other.
accept ourselves how we are
And work,
physically.
and but also work in the areas that need work, because
Correct.
it's one thing to just say like this is just the way I am, which we kind of had that vibe for a few
Hmm.
years early on, but then afterwards we're like, no, we need to grow and change.
It was almost like, this is the way I am. You accept me or you don't. There's
Yeah,
a door. That's the way we were thinking in the
which
beginning.
brought us a lot of conflict.
Correct. Yeah, we'll talk about that later
Yeah,
on.
but we don't recommend that. We recommend, kind of being self-aware, having these conversations with the people around you, um, because we need to hear it.
I think even if we talk about the hardest moments we had in our life, certain people that probably weren't involved or in our close circle, they're gonna probably be surprised. Man, you guys went through that? Oh, that
Mm-hmm.
happened in your life? And I think it's important for people to actually see that we went through it too. And we're probably still gonna go through different stuff. And there's still ways that we're gonna want to grow as well and want to move forward and try to change things as
Yeah.
well. As we get older, we have to find out one way or another, how could I improve myself?
Yep. And I think that it all starts with the beginning. There's a beginning to everything,
Yep.
right? And then from that beginning starts coming these choices. After a certain age, the choices we make literally like can alter and affect our life. But making do with what we have, being hopeful,
Mm-hmm.
and also putting in work. Because I think once we started putting in the work, is that we really got to reap good benefits
Both of us.
in our life, in our marriage, and in our parenting.
And as parents.
Hmm.
Because parenting, especially at this age, we got
It's
a
no
13-year
joke.
old. I think it's a true privilege to be parents, but it's not easy. It's
No,
not easy at all.
it can be stressful. There's times that Elvis knows I be crying because it's just, it's overwhelming.
Yes.
And which is why also after having Eleni so early was that I was so hesitant in having a second child.
Mm-hmm.
It took us what, 9 years, and then on the 10th year of Ellie's birthdays that we had already Alina.
I want to have one before that.
I know, but I was just so like, it took me a while to no longer label myself as the girl that was pregnant at 17. Like, for so long, I was to myself, and I don't think it's that people called me that, but to myself, I'm like, yeah, I'm the one that got pregnant at 17. And I always talked about it like if it was something terrible. Like, I always like come out, como que I downplayed it, and I'm like, yeah, I got pregnant at 17. Oh, yeah, I had a baby early. Like, if that's all I've done for a long time in all these years, and I think I've done a lot more than that. So having that in my mind was like, damn, do I want to put myself again to having another kid? Like, after all this time of no longer being that.
Yeah, that would probably bring you down one way or another as well. It's crazy how one thing can bring you so emotionally down for so long
Mm-hmm.
and for years, but that same scenario is the one that makes you shine anywhere you go. Because right now I'm like, listen, I got a 13-year-old, we've been 14 years married, we're happy, everything is moving forward. I mean, we're living a dream right now. And it's
Yeah.
like, man, this would hold me back knowing the fact that I was a father so early on and being married so early on. And now I'm like, yeah, that's me.
Yeah.
Everywhere I go, I
Like,
say it.
you're not just that.
Correct.
And being able to say that you are those things is also like
Correct. It's
a
an add-on. It's
privilege.
like, it's
Yeah.
a privilege. You
Yeah.
said those are the words I always say. I mean, it's
Yeah.
a privilege.
And it took me a while to get there, even though I love Elenice.
Of
Like,
course.
she was the best thing that happened to me, and she really
Both of them. Yeah.
well, yeah, but I'm talking like, because early on in our relationship, but that really stood by me. But then when we made the decision to add the other one with Alina, I think for me at that point there was also then the guilt, because I was a teenage mom.
Mm-hmm.
There were certain things we didn't do, and then for Alina we did even like a photo shoot. Like, there was other things we.
Well, our financial situation was a
Yeah, so
lot
I
better
think that also
also.
affected.
And we wanted to do things that we could have memories forever.
Yeah,
I mean, you think differently at a certain age completely. And you're thinking about, listen, I want to hold on to this because why? They grow like this.
yeah, they do.
I mean, to the oldest is like, she's already 13. Is almost like, I can't hold you, even though she's still always going to be my baby. But the little one is like, man, this time is going to go by so fast. I want to take advantage of every single moment and just hold her as much as I can.
Yeah, and I think that's something that we have learned to take
Mm-hmm.
advantage of. Um, because it was tough for us in the beginning, and but we've made it through, and I'm happy that we're here having this conversation. I'm happy that we're talking about this and that we're able to share.
Even to our own daughter.
Oh yeah, because she
Even
knows a
to
lot of the
her.
stuff.
Yeah. Even to her. She's like, oh no. Why you guys got married so early?
Yeah,
Why
she's
you guys had
very
us so
interested in it
early?
now,
Even her friends, when their friends see us, oh wow, your parents are so young. So it's good for her as well, for us to be honest.
which is also kind of like what you're saying about her, like they're her friends. A lot of her friends, their parents are much older.
Yes.
So it's different for her because she has us so young, and then she got parents sometimes even like 10, 15, 20 years older than us.
Yeah.
So it's a big shift.
And for her, we're old.
I know. She always says that. But yeah, I think it's been great. It's been a good journey. Looking forward to what's ahead. And I guess my biggest takeaway of just being pregnant early is that it doesn't matter whether it's a pregnancy, whatever happens in your life. Um, People are always going to talk. People are always going to comment. People are always going to
Yes.
have something to say about the decisions you choose to make. But own the decisions and make the decisions that are going to work best for you, your family, and those immediately impacted by your decision, like the people you live with.
Yep.
I think that's important.
And you need two people to be able to decide to move forward as well.
Yeah.
If you have two people that actually want to move forward one way or another and are willing to change, you guys can make it.
Yeah, because we're throwing out 14 years, but like we said before, it hasn't been easy. We've had our shares of ups and downs. But
And we had to grow within the ministry as well.
yeah,
The church was a key point of us being able to grow. I mean, there's no denying it.
yeah, I think so. I would say we learned a lot also within the church
Correct.
about
Healing. I keep on mentioning that whole bunch. I need a lot of healing.
yeah,
I had to cry. I was depressed. I had my moments where I just wanted to let go. I
yeah,
didn't want to be married anymore. I didn't want to be a father anymore.
yeah,
I want to run back to Puerto Rico.
yeah,
But I was like, I have to decide to stay here
yeah.
and move forward.
And I think it's the same for me. I've had my moments too where I wanted to walk out, but I just felt like I couldn't. It was a lot of still carrying. I feel like I carried a long time, like the weight of what other people thought,
Mm-hmm.
or like of anything, whether it was pregnancy, whatever decision I was making. I just felt that, and it became very difficult. But I think in being with you, I've kind of learned to let that go a little bit because you're more better than me in that area. Like, freak it or don't like. How is that like gonna help
Put
you
butter on
grow
top of you. Yeah, just put butter on
and
top
let
of
it
you.
slide?
Yeah, just let everything slide. At the end of the day, you're never going to be able to please everybody. Like, it's crazy how much it could affect you, you thinking that you're going to be able to make everybody happy. And you're not, because everybody's going to is going to think completely different.
Yeah,
Our focus should be, how could I make my spouse happy? How could I make my husband happy? How could I make my kids happy? And that's it.
and myself.
Yeah,
And myself, because I think that's the important key.
correct. And that's part of loving yourself.
Yeah. So, this is just a sum of our beginning of where we started. And
Good conversation. That's it.
yeah, and we just hope that as you hear our story and any topic we bring out, you feel inspired that you're not alone. Situations will happen. It may not be similar to what we go through, but the point is that we all go through something. We all need someone to listen. We all need someone to say, oh, me too, or I felt that same way too, or I'm so glad you said that because it made me think of this. Because that's how you grow, by listening, gaining wisdom from each other, and sharing these experiences. Any closing remarks from you?
Well, I want to agree with you 100% of what you mentioned in the beginning. This is truly just the beginning,
Mm.
but what matters the most is how we end. And that's what we want to talk about. How could we end our story? We're still writing the book of our story, little
Mm.
by little.
And trying to see it get to,
Happy ending.
yeah,
That's all. That's all. If we could live a happy ending forever, I'll be happy.
Yeah.
And I know you'll be happy too.
Yep. So thank you for joining with us today. It had to be said.
Take care, guys.